morning. This is a just for fun video, really. Tiny televisions. Now, I've been collecting them for a while because I did buy one. It needed a repair and I thought that'd be really cool for a video, sort the repair out and everything. Then I thought, well, no, I need more. I want to look at some of these tiny TVs that are about. So I started buying them off Vinted and off eBay, or I found one at a toy fair, things like that. So I've been collecting them in a row. My husband's been looking at me like I've gone totally insane and said, why do you need so many televisions each time one came through? And I'm like, because I think it's really cool to see how the styles were through the ages. Obviously, they don't go too far back. Most of my dolls' houses are maybe just coming into the TV era, but they're all going to get one anyway because I've got so many TVs, and I think they're super cute. This is just a few. There's some more on the table, as you'll have seen from the thumbnail. We're going to have a look at them. We're also going to look at the repair for one of them, and if I can find it. It's like this one. We have a front missing, but I do have the bits for that. And also this one. These are the two we're going to look at repairing. I do have the other parts for it, and I'm going to be printing off some labels as well for pictures and things like that. So it's just a fun video. Let me know if you love these little TVs, if you have these little televisions in your dolls' houses, or you just have one on display. They come in so many sizes. There's so many more I could buy. I keep having a look. I'm going, nope, got enough now. We've got enough now. But sometimes you can pick them up for £2-3. Sometimes they are a little bit more expensive. Some of the lumpy ones and that are more expensive, but they're absolutely just super cute. And I think a lot of them with the photos as well. I think there's one, if I can find it, one here. It's super cute with a little kitten on. I mentioned this when I got a job lot because my daughter wanted this one as well, and I happened just to be able to buy two at once. That was amazing. So that was another one. But again, the pictures I think show the eras, the ideas, the actual design style. I think, which one was it? Oh, this one. I was quite fascinated with the size of this one. Look how wide it is there. We don't have TVs like that anymore. So, and a lot of them are like pieces of furniture, and I just think they're super cute. So I thought, well, gather a few together, then we'll do the video and the repair. So I hope you're going to join me. Come top down and have a little look at what we get up to with these tiny televisions. So many tiny TVs. I've done a little bit of research on some of them. There was a couple I was surprised because I thought I knew what some of them were, but then others weren't. So we've really got sort of a wide spectrum here. Now, these are the two we're going to repair in a second. I'll show you what I'm doing with those, but let's have a look what I've actually got. Now, this one here is actually a 12th scale one, which is a little bit too big for my vintage dolls' houses. But for my Pippa, we do have a slightly broken leg there. I need to mend that a bit. But for my Pippa, she's more 12th scale. And I do have some room boxes, although I don't. Oh, it might actually. I have got one that's a 60s one. I'm not quite sure whether that's the right area for that. But as you can see, we've got this here, and it does actually open up. So I'm presuming if you wanted to, you could put a picture in there. There's nowhere to slot it or anything, but not quite sure why it's hollow, some sort of little storage thing, but you could actually put a picture in there to make it look like a proper TV screen. Again, none of these I paid much for, a couple of pound, I think maybe £5 at the max for some of them. So I'm not quite sure what era that one is. Now we've got one that's very modern here. This is a Temu special, this, but I just thought it was super cute, and this does go in my Cindy's 1960s room, because we've got a little TV program there. We have some little aerials there, and again, I think it was about £2, if that, something like that. But it does look a little, they actually do turn as well. The little things do turn there, but I've written team on there. So that's a Temu special, that one. There was another one I thought I got on Temu. I can't see it, but unless I'm thinking of something else, I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look. Now, this one here, I don't know, it looks a little bit like a rabbit cage, doesn't it? But it's definitely a TV. Whether it's been, I don't know, could it be sort of Lumbee, Barton? It feels like that, but there's so many of these wooden things that look the same era. It's really difficult, and I've been scouring for pictures to find all these. If they've got a little label under it like that, I know where they've come from. Otherwise, I don't. So if there's any you recognise, give me a shout. So that's one I don't recognise. It is peeling a little bit. It doesn't need much. A little bit of TLC, a bit more glue. I've got some glue next to me here ready anyway. So that's that one. So it does look like a rabbit cage. Obviously, we have the plastic era, and this is just a hollow, fun little TV that would go in a unit. I'm not sure I would put this in my 1/6 scale, but it is cute. And again, I just wanted to show different types of tiny TVs. As I mentioned in the intro, my husband thought I was going absolutely insane, but I just keep buying little tiny TVs. I don't know. Perhaps I have lost the plot. We have another one here. Now, this one, now whether this is right, I'm not sure. But when I scoured images of Doll's House TVs and vintage ones, this came up with Gene, who is a West German company. Now, most of my Gene stuff is plastic, so I was a little bit surprised to see that this was Gene, because it is wooden. We do have a little bit of scraping here, but I suppose if I was careful, I could even maybe paint that up. I'm not quite sure about doing that. I don't want to sometimes I like to mend things. Sometimes I think they should be left alone. So I'm not 100% sure what to do with that yet. But this silver is coming off. I think perhaps that silver just wants replacing. Might be better off sticking something over, maybe a little bit of silver card or something, rather than trying to paint it and then messing it up completely. Now, I was looking at plastic ones, then I went on to others, didn't I? We have a few plastic ones here. I thought, this is cute. This is sort of almost too small for the dolls' houses. This is really tiny, weeny, mini, and there is something. It just says made in Hong Kong, and I don't know that you'll be able to see it. Probably not. There's a letter E there. Don't know what that means. I don't know. It's the scale as well. It's weird, but I just couldn't resist it. It came in a bundle. Some of these did come in bundles of Doll's House furniture, so I just sort of pulled them out, and I think there's a couple you may have actually seen on one of my videos when I've bought sort of a bumper amount, or when I've been to one of the Doll's House fairs. But I did like it. I like the detail on it. I like the blue screen, the plastic blue screen, and I sort of do like the plastic Doll's House furniture. I know some people wouldn't, but I do actually like it. Now we have this one. Now, can you see? Oh, look, they're doing the can there. My son was in stitches the other day when I'm showing him these. I'm like, look at this. I says, this is what used to keep me entertained as a small child. A far cry from what they use nowadays. But again, no name, no label. It's just fun. And I just thought, because they were can dancers, we got all this sort of detailing in the plastic. You can hear the plastic. You know it's old plastic. But again, just a bit of fun. And then this last plastic one, I can remember getting these. Well, not getting them. I had some of these as a kid. As I was saying, I was fascinated with this. I can't even actually tell what this one is. Oh, I do know. It is a little bird. You might be able to see it better on the video. I should do it slowly. It's a little bird feeding its chicks in the nest. I thought it was a mermaid when I first looked at that, so I was so wrong. But again, I thought, oh, it's probably one of these cheapy ones. But when I started looking, I found Lumbee. That's why we've got an L on the back there. And again, I'm like, oh, Lumbee's usually sort of, we got a lot of wood, more detailed. But I kept finding different ones. I didn't find this actual image, but I kept finding others, and they got exactly the same shape. The handle, everything about them was well, they said they were Lumbee. So I'm presuming this might be a Lumbee. I don't know. Did other companies make cheaper versions? Possibly. But yeah, so I just love this. I could sit there all day doing that. Well, maybe I couldn't, but I do enjoy doing it. So I'll put that there. Now, this next one was a surprise. This one. Again, I loved it. Very sort of, I don't know, 60s again. It says Bush, which is a brand of TVs. It's over here anyway. I don't know whether it's been anywhere else. I love that it really looks like a TV of its time. I can remember my first TV. I was so excited when we got it. I was only tiny, and it was literally this sort of shaped screen, but it was in a massive wooden cabinet, and that was so exciting. We were on about it the other day with my mum, and as she said, there was even like a coat hanger in the back for the aerial. But you know, things have changed a lot. So I thought, well, I'll get that. I like it. And then my shock, it's a triang. Now, I've just got a triang Doll's House, as some of you might have seen. So this has to go in that Doll's House. Not sure it sits with the era of the Doll's House, because obviously TVs, as I mentioned before, only came in at a certain time. And again, perhaps you had to have some money. Again, another story. My mum told me about when it was the Queen's coronation over here. My grandparents at the time were one of the first people in the street to get a TV. So everyone was super, super excited because they could watch the coronation on TV. So that was sort of when it started out, really. But again, depending on sort of your sort of financial situation, TVs may have come in at different stages. But yeah, there's no writing on it. But it kept coming up and kept coming up. I'm like, oh, is it really a triang? And eventually I thought it's just got to be. So I think that's a little triang. I have this one, and I've no idea what this is. I mean, look how fat that is. Again, they'd be sort of, well, they'd be that thickness now, wouldn't they? But I thought it was a nice looking TV. Again, it does give me that vintage sort of 50s, 60s sort of feeling. So I think that's quite good. Nicely made. So I suspect it is a company, but again, cannot find it. So I'll be asking you for all these different ones. If anyone's got any suggestions, give me a shout. We have a very common one now. This is a Lumbee. It should be on a stand, but I went for this one because my daughter had wanted it. I think I did mention this in one of the videos, because I think I did show, I can't remember whether I did or not, but my daughter had seen one of the Lumbee ones, but then they got like, I think it was like cowboys, things like that, and she didn't want that one. Then we saw one with a kitten on, but then we couldn't find it anymore. And then all of a sudden on Vinted, somebody was selling 2 with the kitten. So I went for it. So she's got one and I've got one. Not sure, again, I think, would that not be meant to be there? Has somebody sort of screwed that on? But I know there are some with like a central post and then little sort of feet that stick out, and then there are some that have got legs each side that are the Lumbee with similar type of pictures. So again, we've got a black and white image on that one, so that was cute. Now this last, well, not last one, this is the last one that I'm not going to do anything to. Now that I mentioned on one of my other videos regarding Sylvanian families and working for the 12th, well, the 12th scale and the 1/6 scale, it says Sylvanian families on there. It is epoch 1991 it says. But again, it's one of them that I quite liked because it looks like wood, but it is plastic, of course. But it has a slot at the top, so you could slot an image in there. So you could have a bit of fun. I mean, as a kid's toy, that's brilliant because they can keep changing the channel, so to speak, if they've got lots of different ones. So I thought that was nice. So that's why I went for that one. And I like the fact it looks like a piece of furniture. I like that in a TV, on the old TVs. I know they're not like that anymore, but I do like that look because it was a piece of furniture in your home. And then we come to these two. Now, I'm just going to move those up there a bit. I've already started making bits to go with them, but I thought, well, I'll leave them loose and then I'll show you sort of what I'm going to do. Now, this one, it came basically, oh, if I can take it, with the acetate broken. It had something on here, which is what I'm going to replace with that. This is original, this piece of cardboard here. So what I've decided to do is I've cut a little bit of acetate. Now my acetate is actually just off a box, a parcel. I think it was probably off the front of a doll one that I'd got. Quite handy, the acetate, so it's always worth maybe keeping a few bits and pieces. So basically that's going to stick in there. That's going to stick on there. So we've got this picture now protected. And this is just some gold card that I had, which is really going to be shiny in the camera. Can I see it? There we are. And I actually used a ruler and one of my fine crochet hooks to make the marks on it. I don't know whether yet to stick some beads on there. I don't know whether it'll look silly. That's why I've not done it. I'm sort of tempted, but then I'm like, I don't want to spoil it. So that is going to stick on there. And that will be my refurbished TV. It is really shining in there. You can't really see it properly. So that's going to be the refurbished TV on that one. So I'm quite pleased with that. Don't know what brand this one is. Again, it sort of feels sort of Lumbee, Barton, that sort of. But I don't know. There's something about the picture that makes me think it might be something completely different. So that's that one. And then we got this one. And again, similar. Don't know what it is. Screams possibly Barton Lumbee, that sort of time. Now I've just stuck that in. There was no picture at all. This bit had all ripped, so that's why I took it off. I thought I'd saved them to show you. Well, I know I saved them, but I really cannot find the pieces that I put to one side in a safe place. This is commonly known in my house that I put things away safely, never to be found again. I'll find them after I've done the video. But I basically took it all off. You can see the sort of wood it is there. And I printed off a little picture of clangers there. I loved clangers as a kid. My granddaughter absolutely adored one. My mum even knitted her one because she loved them so much. So I've just printed that off. I sort of scaled it down, printed it off. And then again, we need a little bit of acetate. So we have off a doll's house front. I want to clean these before I stick them. But that's just going to sit over there. Protects the paper. And then this is actually a piece of sticky back plastic that I had, but I wanted sort of a slight wood grain. That's why I went for it rather than me trying to paint one, because I've got a die cutter. I cut out the shape out the front, so that's going to sit over where our clangers is. And then the original one did have two side panels. So again, using the card I've done there, I'm going to be sticking one in one side, and again deciding whether to pop some little beads or something on there, and one in the other side. So when it's all flat down and stuck in, we've got another repaired TV. The other thing I'm sort of slightly dilemmaing about, because that's why I've not stuck these in, is I don't know whether to darken this down somehow, and I'm not quite sure because it is really shiny, this gold. It worked perfectly. It was great to mark out, but I do feel it's a little intense in colour, but I've got to work out how to do that. Now, as far as actually gluing them, all I'm going to use, ta-da, a basic Pritt stick. Oh, my screen went a bit blurry then. I find it's the best glue, especially when you're doing paper on tiny doll's house bits, because it gives you a little bit of manoeuvrability. Doesn't stick too instantly, but it doesn't stain or mark anything. So these are my tiny TVs. If you have any information on any of them, I would love that. Let me know if you've got some. If you've got any ideas on darkening this down, that would be great. But I'm super pleased with them. As I mentioned, I have a few dolls' houses now, and I have more probably since I did the intro. No, I've got one more since I did the intro. I got the triang. So there's plenty of rooms for these to go in. Like I said, that won't be going in a vintage one anyway. I think, like I said, that's definitely sort of Pippa. My Pippa dolls are in my 12th scale. I don't really do anything with my 12th scale apart from a few room boxes, but I really should do lots of things. But it's too small for Cindy, but it's perfect, I think, for Pippa. So I'm just trying to think what else. Is there anything else I've got to say? I don't think so. I think we've gone through them all. Now, I know you can get these, like I say, you can get these cheap enough on places, but I just love to look at the old ones. So I'm going to take a photo of them all like that in a second, because that's going to be on my thumbnail. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that, or if you've got any other information or any help or anything like that, if you like collecting tiny TVs, which probably there's nobody else like that, or if you've got lots of dolls' houses, I suppose you've got lots of tiny TVs. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon. And please like, subscribe and share, and bye bye for now.